It is great to see you. My name is Michael Williams, and today I am going to share with you 3 stop stuttering secrets. 3 stop stuttering secrets that could change your entire life. Now you're probably wondering, where in the world did I get that name from? And the reason that I want to tell you is because over the past couple of years at least that I can recall, as I've been looking at the kinds of searches and terms that people have been using to reach my website and searches they've been doing on my website, I've discovered that one of the most common ones is what? Stop stuttering secrets. So that's where I got the name for this particular session. And what I'm going to do is as quickly as I possibly can, I want to share with you some ideas, some very practical ideas, right? Action-oriented ideas that are not complete secrets, right? They're things that people know, or things that I may have said before, but they're things that you don't commonly hear, that you might not commonly think about when it comes to improving your speech or overcoming stuttering. They're certainly not things that you're going to hear from perhaps a speech therapist or from someone who's telling you that in 3 days they're going to be able to cure your stuttering, or that they're going to get rid of or eliminate stuttering. You're not going to hear these things. Or people that's selling you a device, a delayed auditory feedback device, or even someone that's going to tell you, come to this program for 12 days or for 3 weeks or whatever. You're probably not going to hear the things that I'm going to tell you now. So I want you to tune in, because what I'm going to be sharing with you could literally change your life. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to share with you two principles, and then we're going to talk about 3 secrets. And to make it very easy for you to remember these secrets, right? Because the letters that represent the concepts are FIT, fit, F-I-T, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about these 2 principles. And the first principle is the principle of liking yourself. Now, I want you to follow me. In fact, if you haven't had a chance to do so, join our Facebook group, because I'm doing an intensive series on this very thing, where I'm going to go into more depth in each one of these. But for now, the first principle that we're going to talk about is the principle of liking or loving yourself. And we're going to talk about why that's important, and then we're going to look at the second principle. So this first principle, the principle of liking yourself, is important because when you like yourself, you feel better about what you're doing, even when you mess up, right? So I'm not saying that you mess up and you go, oh, that's just great. No, I'm saying that when you mess up, you go, okay, I messed up. But that's okay. I'm working on this, or what do I need to do about this, and how can I improve? But you don't beat yourself up, pull yourself down, and discourage yourself, right? So when you like yourself, when you love yourself, you have a greater degree or a higher self-esteem. When you feel better about yourself, you perform better, you are more encouraged, you're more motivated. When you don't like yourself, you pull yourself down, you beat yourself up, you discourage yourself, and you're less likely to be motivated, and you're not going to perform as well. Does this make sense? So how can you increase this liking, this loving of yourself? I'll tell you exactly what I used to do every morning for about over 50 times, or 50 times every morning. I would include this affirmation with my other ones. I would say to myself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I love myself, I like myself. And at first it felt kind of weird, and my mind would say, no you don't, no you don't, no you don't. And I would just keep saying, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I like. So what I want you to do, there's some kind of bug fly. What I want you to do is every morning tell yourself, I like myself, I like myself. And just keep doing that for at least 2 minutes. Include that in your affirmations. But also throughout the day, especially when you get stuck, you go, I just got stuck again, or man, I know, I'm doing this program and Michael said I need to try to do this and I forgot to do it again. Don't beat yourself up, right? Just tell yourself, I like myself, I like myself. It's okay, it's all right. I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna keep working at this, right? Tell yourself that you like yourself, it will increase your self-esteem. I have talked to some people that don't feel really good about themselves, about him or herself, because of stuttering, right? Now, some people, they feel fine about it, and that's okay. And you should like yourself, right? But some people don't feel good about themselves because they don't like the way they sound. They don't like not being able to say what they want to say. They don't like the way, the faces that they make, the things that they do with their mouth, what they do with their body when they're dressed. So they don't like themselves very much because of stuttering. And what I want to tell you is, as you begin to like yourself and feel better about who you are, you will also be able to perform better. But liking yourself doesn't mean being satisfied and just staying where you're at. I'm not saying that, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't accept yourself. There's some people that confuse the two. They say, well, when you like yourself and you accept yourself, that means that you can stay the way you are. Well, that's not necessarily true, right? You can like yourself and love yourself and say, these are things that I want to doggone it improve on. I don't want to continue stuttering, right? And some people, they continue to stutter and stammer because they feel like, well, if I don't like this aspect, if I don't like this aspect of myself, or I don't like this aspect of what I do, that means I don't like myself, and I should like myself. I should love myself, and you should. But it doesn't mean that you have to like stuttering, right? Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that at all. You can love yourself, and you can say, but this is something that I want to overcome. All right? So principle number one is principle of liking yourself. Principle number two is the principle of accepting 100% responsibility for your life and speech. Okay? Accepting 100% responsibility. 100% responsibility for your life and for your speech. Principle number one, liking yourself. How do you do it? You affirm, I like myself in the morning time and throughout the day. Principle number two is accepting 100%, not 50%, but 100% responsibility for your life and your speech. Now, when you accept responsibility for your life and for yourself, you automatically feel more in control. Once you make a decision that you're going to start accepting 100% for your life, 100% responsibility for your life, for your speech, you instantly feel more in control. So here's the way that we can look at this. You may not be 100% responsible for where you're at right now. Not 100%. There are other factors and other forces and other people that have helped to get you where you are now, and you too, right? The decisions that you and I make have helped to get us to where we are. But there's some things we don't have any control over, other things we have little control over. I'm sure none of you wanted to grow up and start stuttering or stammering, right? So that may be something that you didn't have any control over. But guess what you do have control over? You do have 100% control over how you respond to life and how you respond and what you do with your speech. You don't have to continue to struggle with your speech. I'm telling you that from personal experience, and I'm telling you from personal experience working with other people and seeing them move forward along this journey. So you're responsible for what you do from this day forward as far as improving your speech, right? There are things you can do to retrain your brain and improve your speech. I don't care what anyone says. Even people who have suffered strokes or Parkinson's, they can go through intensive therapy and they can begin to speak better, often back to normal, but definitely better. If you've not had a stroke, or you don't have any kind of brain damage where you were hit in the head or something happened, you were in an accident, and you don't have Parkinson's, then guess what? You can improve your speech, not just back to normal, you can actually become an excellent speaker, an exceptional speaker, a confident communicator, okay? You can do it. I've seen people do it. There's a lady I worked with a few years ago, and she was a severe stutterer. I mean, she would just really just shake sometime. And within 2 months of working with her, she had won, not one, I think she won 2 Toastmasters ribbons, 2 Toastmasters. She was a severe stutterer, right? She won 2 standing ovations one time. People were crying that she spoke so well. While I was working with her, I know she got 1 job promotion, and then when I talked with her a few other times, she had gotten at least 2 to 3 job promotions. She is working on and may even be finished her PhD because she wants to teach. This is a lady, I'm telling you, who's probably one of the most severe that I've worked with. And she's doing just incredible. And I've talked to her, I talk to her almost every year, and she's doing better and better and better. So this isn't short term. And I have many other people I've talked to who've won Toastmasters, who've won other speaking competitions, who've gotten job promotions, who's passed their boards, and it just goes on and on. Why? Because they accepted responsibility and they did something about their speech. You can do something about your speech. Don't let anyone fool you. It doesn't matter if you've been in my program or not. If you've been in my program and you've regressed, you can do something about your speech. You have to get on a daily routine. You have to stick with it. It's just like, you'll hear me say this, learning a language, right? It's a little more difficult, but it's very much like it. If you learn the language and you go out and you use it, you're going to get better. Especially if you use it in real life situations under pressure, you're going to become more fluent. You're going to reach the point where you don't have to think about it anymore. If you don't, if you learn it and you just use it sometimes, you're not going to be real fluent. You might even regress back where you can barely speak that language. This is the same thing, friends. You got to learn it, you got to get out there and use it. Use it how? What are you talking about? It's talking about practicing for the rest of your life? No, we're just talking about you go through an intense period of retraining your brain, learning a new way of speaking and thinking, and then you just continue to use that every day in your real life situations. And what happens is it just becomes natural. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about techniques and this tool and this tip and this trick. You just use it every single day. It just becomes natural. Okay? So second principle is accept 100% responsibility for your life. Why? It will keep you from becoming a victim. Some people feel victimized by their own brains or by stuttering or by whatever. They feel like they're a victim and they say, oh, well, you should accept me, or I have to, or, you know, it's just, no, it's not. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to speak that way. You can do something about it. You're not a victim. You are responsible for your life. And once you understand that and you accept it, you're going to feel more powerful. You're going to feel more empowered. You're going to feel more in control. Okay, guarantee it. All right, let's talk about then, let us talk about the 3 secrets, right? The 3 stop stuttering secrets, okay? Number 1, these all, fit. F-I-T, right? So this first one starts with an F, and it stands for focus. It stands for focus. Shift your focus away from trying to stop stuttering, away from curing stuttering, even away from overcoming stuttering. Shift your focus to becoming an excellent speaker. So shift your focus to becoming an excellent speaker. Shift your focus to becoming an excellent speaker. Shift it away from trying to stop stuttering, curing stuttering, getting rid of stuttering, what causes stuttering. None of that stuff matters. Shift it to becoming an excellent speaker. Now let me tell you what happens to people who focus on trying to stop stuttering and overcoming stuttering and all of that. And I've talked to some of these people. This is very normal for us to do, right? Often people who focus on stuttering and trying to stop stuttering is they go out and they look for solutions that will help them achieve that goal as quickly as possible. Human nature, right? We want to get something as quickly as possible. Even if we have to pay more for it, we will pay more for it. And so what happens is people will go out and they will spend $2,000 to $3,000 on a device that they put in their ear. I can't tell you how many clients I have who've used devices, and after a few days or weeks, the brain rewires itself and you're right back to where you are. So now they have their device sitting there, can't get their money back, paid a few $1,000s for it. All right, so that's one. Second, people will go out and say, oh, let me do some research. Ooh, okay, there's this lady, because people will ask me about it, and I've had people go through this program. They'll say, there's this lady that says that she can get rid of my stuttering in 3 days. What do you think about that? I've not gone through the program, but I can tell you that I've talked to at least 3 people or more who've gone through that program, and here's what they say. Either after the 3 days, it didn't help them at all, or in about 3 days, their speech went back to normal, or within a month or two, their speech went back to normal, back to whatever it was before they started. These people spent between $6,000 and $8,000, not $100,000 for this. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying that in its current configuration, the people I've talked to have told me it doesn't work, right? So what happens is people are trying to take a shortcut, right? They're trying to take a shortcut because they're focused on stuttering and overcoming stuttering. So, well, if I can get rid of my stuttering in a few days, then I'll pay whatever I need. So they take out loans and they do all kinds of things. They're in debt for the next several years, right? And their speech has gotten no better. So this is what happens. People will go to speech therapists and they'll say, okay, well, let's just work on, managing your speech and all that stuff. And they'll spend thousands of dollars and their speech only gets a little better or doesn't get better at all. Why? Because of how our brains are wired, right? It's virtually impossible for you to turn around or to change your thinking and your speech patterns in a matter of a couple of days, right? And even if you use a device, it's not going to change your thinking, your psychology, right? So what you have to understand is that this is a process, and it's about retraining your brain. It's about creating new habits and patterns. It's about building new skills. It's about changing your psychology. And all of these things take time. It is virtually impossible to do it within a couple of days. Now what happens is people will see these videos online. They'll say, okay, well, what this lady did is I see this person before, and then I see them speaking smoothly after the 3 days. I mean, I see a video of it. It's got to work. Well, I can take you and in a couple of hours have you speaking smoothly, and I can take and do a video of you before and take and do a video of you afterwards and say, see, this works. No, it doesn't work, because once you get back out in the real world and you start talking and you start ordering food, you start making phone calls, you start making presentations or whatever, guess what's going to happen? You're going to bounce right back to pretty much where you were before, because it's how our brains work, right? It takes time to rewire your brain to the place where you're able to be in your normal and natural environment with those triggers and to be able to speak smoothly in your natural, normal environment. It just takes time. It's a process. It's a journey, okay? So shifting your focus to becoming an excellent speaker is a completely different thing. In fact, whatever it is that you focus on, is pretty much what you're going to get. So let's just do a little exercise that most of you probably done before. I want you to think about, I don't want you to think about a red car. Do not think about a red car. Don't think about a red Corvette, red Mustang, a red Porsche, a red Ferrari. Do not think about any of those cars. Don't think about a red car. Do not think about it, right? Okay. Now, some of you that have done this exercise or know the exercise may have been able to shift your thoughts to something else. Others of you had to think about red, right? You have a reference for that. You know what red is. You know what a car is. You know what some of those cars are, right? So you had to use your reference to think about, now watch this, you had to think about what I wanted you to not think about first in order to not think about it. So you had to say, well, Michael's saying, don't think about a red car. So quickly the mind says, what's a red car, right? So the mind goes, okay, it's red, here's a car, we know what a red car is, so now we don't want to think about this red car. But what did you just do? You just thought about the red car first. You had to have that reference. So when you try to think about not stuttering, for example, you're going to order something or you have to introduce yourself and you start thinking, I hope I don't get stuck. I hope I don't stutter. I hope I'm able to say my name smooth. What do you think? You're thinking about the thing you don't want to happen, and guess what happens? The very thing that you don't want to happen. Because your mind is focused on that thing. It has to reference it, right? It has to find has to say, okay, what is it that we don't want to do? Oh, okay, well, here it is. And it's just thinking about it, and then you end up doing that because that's what you're focused on, right? Does that make sense? So the thing that you have to do is shift your focus to the kind of speaker you want to become, the kind of speaker you want to become. How do you do this? Modeling is the best way. Find someone that speaks the way you want to speak and watch them, study them, practice speaking like them. There's something in our brains called mirror neurons. Do some research and you'll find something called mirror neurons. What these neurons do, the way that they perform is, for example, let's just say that you know how to play the keyboard and you watch someone playing the keyboard. Well, the neurons or the neural pathways that manage you playing the keyboard will begin to light up when you see someone else playing the keyboard, right? They're mirroring what you're watching. Now, if you have no reference of that, if you don't know how to play the keyboard, then they either don't light up or they only light up a little bit, right? So whatever it is that you know how to do, when you see someone else doing it, the neurons in your brain, the pathways that manage that activity actually begin to light up and mirror the activity. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is when you shift your focus to become an excellent speaker, you focus on a person who speaks the way you want to speak. You watch them, you study them so that those same neurons begin to light up, and the more they light up and the more they strengthen, the better you're going to be able to speak. You actually begin to mirror their activity. Now, I don't really know how to play the keyboard. I can just do a few things and play a couple little tunes or whatever, but I couldn't play a full song. But I've actually been able to play better by watching someone, studying someone who speaks, just for a temporary period of time. By studying them, I was actually able to play better. And this is the reason why. So shift your focus to becoming an excellent speaker. Let's take a look at this next one. This next one has to do with immerse yourself in the above, right? In becoming an excellent speaker. Immerse yourself in this process of becoming an excellent speaker. What do I mean by immerse yourself? When you immerse yourself, imagine just jumping into a pool. You completely jump in the pool. You're completely wet. You're covered. Your water is all over you. It's all around you, right? You've immersed yourself. Like baptism, when you baptize, you go all the way down, right? All the way back up. So you immerse yourself in becoming an excellent speaker. What this means in brief is your speech has to become a priority. Why? Because it's ubiquitous. It's there. It's all the time, right? You're speaking, you're thinking about it. It's with you all the time anyway. So you might as well make it your number one priority and completely immerse yourself in the process. So in the Pro 90 speech system, we give you a daily routine, we give you audios to listen to, we give you videos to watch, we give you a routine to practice. We tell you when you go out, every time you open your mouth to speak, you focus and you concentrate on modeling and on using the tools that you might be working, like extending. Just focus on extending, right? So every time you speak, that's what you focus on. So you immerse yourself. When you immerse yourself, it's like going to a language immersion course. Many, many years ago, I went to Guatemala and stayed for, it was about 3 weeks. And so I was speaking Spanish every single day. And then I'd go to Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. I went to Nicaragua and stayed for 2 months. Costa Rica, all over, went to Colombia. I'd be speaking Spanish every single day. So after a period of time, I was just speaking so fluently, and I was slowly beginning to think in Spanish, slowly beginning to dream in Spanish. I'm not at that point yet, or I'm not at that point now, right? But I was at that point, and it just felt so liberating. Why? Because I had immersed myself in the language. I started thinking the language, speaking the language, writing the language, reading the language. You immerse yourself. So learning a new way of speaking and a new way of thinking, that is not anticipating that you're going to get stuck, not telling yourself you're going to get stuck, and not thinking, okay, well, changing your thinking, your psychology, changing your speaking, your physiology. You immerse yourself. When you immerse yourself, you allow yourself to do this much faster and at a much deeper level. Does this make sense? Immerse yourself in becoming an excellent speaker. So spend all of your time, right? Integrate the practice into your day. Do some in the morning time. Do some while you're driving. Do some on your break. Do a little bit when you get home. When you're talking to someone, make extra phone calls, right? Instead of sending a text, make a call. Go up to someone. You immerse yourself in this process, all right? F-I-T. T. The T stands for completely transform your speaking identity. And we've talked about this a little bit. You want to completely transform. This word here is important. Completely transform your speaking identity. Now, what do we mean by this? You don't want to be technique driven for the rest of your life. That is, whatever techniques you learn, breathing techniques, you learn it from someone else, you learn it from me, extending, inflecting, whatever it is that you learn that's a technique, even a tool, you don't want to be driven by that for the rest of your life, right? What you want to be able to do is to create a brand new speaking identity where you see yourself as an excellent speaker. This has nothing to do with whether or not you get stuck, right? Again, as I always say, I still get stuck sometimes, but that has nothing to do with my identity. I see myself as an excellent speaker, and I am an excellent speaker, right? But I still get stuck, but so does everyone else. So you see yourself as an excellent speaker who occasionally gets stuck. There still might be some things and some words and letters that you might struggle with, and that's when you use a tool, either subconsciously or deliberately or just naturally, right? Where you just do it naturally, like airflow linking. So often, or whenever I do get stuck, I'll just airflow link it. Sometimes I'll do it without thinking, and sometimes I'll think about it. Doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, I just do it, right? So that doesn't determine my identity. Transform your identity, meaning you see yourself as this confident person, as this competent person, as a person who's a leader, as a person who can persuade. You see yourself as an excellent speaker, as a powerful presenter, as a person who can communicate confidently, right? That's how you see yourself. How do you get there? Well, we talked about it in this last one, but it's modeling, right? Modeling is the bridge. If I could draw this for you, modeling really is a bridge, right? It's a bridge to get you to where you want to be. So let's just say this is you here, right? Modeling is the bridge that will get you to where you want to be. And where do you want to be? Well, you want to be over here, right? You want to be over here. So modeling can help you get there. And how does it help you get there? Well, when you model, the more you immerse yourself in modeling, that is, the more you practice it, you watch, you study the other person, and then you just do it every single day. Every time you open your mouth, okay, For example, I have my clients model me. I model someone else. You can model someone else. So if you say, okay, how would Michael say this? How would Michael speak right now? How would Michael act? And you do this, right? Every time you open your mouth, presentations and conversations, what's happening is you're using modeling as a bridge to get you to a better you. Not so that you can become like me or like someone else. You're getting you to a better you. Why? Because what modeling does is it helps you transform your identity quickly. The more you model, the faster you get over the bridge. The less you model, the longer it takes. You just end up staying on this bridge, always having to use techniques and think about it and struggle. If you model all the time, you'll get over this bridge quickly, sometimes within a matter of a month or two, or sometimes less, where you no longer have to consciously and deliberately think about modeling. You just automatically start speaking in this new way. I know this because it's a fact, because I've done it myself and I've watched client after client. Now we have clients who don't and they just continue to use the techniques and they improve their speech. But I have clients who model and they make a total identity transformation. To just no longer even think about stuttering. Do they get stuck sometimes? They probably do. They don't even think about it, right? They don't get stuck any more than anyone else. People tell them, you're a great speaker, right? Because they model intensively, they immerse themselves. So what modeling does is it distracts you from yourself. You begin to act like, to mimic someone else, especially when you speak. And what you'll find is that you'll instantly and immediately assume their confidence. You'll feel more confident when you start to model. You feel more powerful, you feel more empowered. You feel like, and you actually start to speak smoother when you model. And then imagine if you just keep doing that over and over, you build those pathways, you rewire, you retrain your brain to think and to feel and to speak in this new way. Does that make sense? So when you do that, when you constantly rewire your brain by modeling someone else, then what you're doing is you're transforming, as we said on the last page, you're transforming your identity. And you can do it relatively quickly. So we talked about 2 principles and 3 secrets, 3 stop stuttering secrets. Principle 1, liking yourself. How? Tell yourself, I like myself, I love myself every day. Principle number 2, accept 100% responsibility for your life and your speech, right? And you do that by taking action, by just saying, I'm going to accept 100% responsibility for how I respond, for how I act. And then you start taking actions towards improving your life and your speech. We talked about 3 stop stuttering secrets. Number 1, shift your focus to becoming an excellent speaker, not to trying to overcome, to cure, to stop stuttering. Forget about that. Think about, how can I become an excellent speaker? That's a secret. That is a secret that many people don't know. And I'm telling you, it'll blow your mind. It can change your life. Number 2, completely immerse yourself in becoming an excellent speaker. Just like you might go to a language immersion course, you're thinking it, you're dreaming it, you're writing it, you're reading it, you're speaking it. Immerse yourself in being an excellent speaker. Speak like your model. Think, if it's extend your words all the time. Speak like your model. Think like your model. Just get out there and do it. Immerse yourself. Number 3, transform your speaking identity. How? Don't just model sometimes, model all the time so that you can quickly distract yourself from who you are and how you speak to becoming a completely different speaking person, a completely different speaking you. I'm not saying you change your whole personality, but there are aspects that you will change. Your level of confidence, your ability to communicate well, all of that will change when you transform your speaking identity. How do you do that? Focus on modeling. Focus on modeling. Immersing yourself means you go through a process where you're listening to audio, you're reading, or you're watching videos, you're practicing, you're going out creating speaking opportunities to use everything that you're learning. It includes all of that. Transforming your identity includes that, but also there's a focus to it on modeling, okay? Thank you so much for sticking with me. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I also want to invite you to click any of the links that you might see in this video on the Pro 90D speech system, and specifically on the Pro 90D Smooth Speech Bootcamp. I want you to learn more about that. It's the most intelligent, in fact, it's the world's most intelligent and comprehensive system for not stopping stuttering, but for what? Transforming your speech, for becoming an excellent speaker, right? It's your very best chance and opportunity to get from wherever you are now to a place that's totally different. And it doesn't have to take you that long. Remember this, the time will pass anyway. Time's going to pass anyway. A week from now, you're going to be a week older. A month from now, 2 months, 3 months from now, you're going to be 3 months older. The time will have passed. Some people are going to sit back and say, oh man, that was a great video, or that video sucked, or whatever. Well, that was inspiring. And maybe those people are not going to do anything with their speech. And their speech is going to be the same, or it's going to get worse. Other people, like you're going to say, man, you know what? This makes sense. I'm going to do a little research on this guy. I'm going to see if he really knows what he's talking about. Do some research. Boom, you do your research. Okay, this stuff makes sense. It's grounded in science. I'm going to try this thing out. I'm going to commit to it, right? Not just going to try, I'm going to commit to it. And guess what? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months from now, you're going to be speaking better, right? You say, well, I'm not quite where I want to be. That's okay. If you keep working, you're going to get there and beyond. So you keep working, 3 months later, you're like, wow, my whole life is different. I'm able to, I'll say this and then we'll wrap it up. I had a client, a recent client, a girl who lived in Mexico, just graduated from college. And she wrote me and said, my parents and I are going to New York and they don't speak English, so I've got to do everything. I'm going to be going to a lot of restaurants, ordering, been making lots of phone calls. And she said, you know what? It feels amazing to be able to order the food that I really want to eat. It feels amazing to be able to say my name, to make phone calls. It feels amazing. Before, she struggled with doing it. She didn't order the food that she wanted, right? So you can do this, and this speech system will allow you to feel amazing, to feel free. All right, this is Michael Williams. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you the next time.